Well, hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 97. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Production and Promotion. And this week, we have some massive news to discuss with MPC adding stem separation into the workflow. Will this usher in a new era of sampling? Let's talk about it. We've also got a new modular synth from Stylophone that Curtis is very much into. And finally, we'll take a look at 4 ways to get samples for your music and the pros and cons of each. Thanks everyone who's joining us live, and much love to all of our patrons who help support what we do. Lars, we see you in the green room. If any other patrons want to come in for the round robin, the link is on the Patreon. Just want to say hello, though, quickly to everyone in the chat. We've got smiling errors. We're doing a new, I don't know if you see the difference in the block text and all that, but we're doing a new one. So yeah, it says, evening all, how are you? Bendu is multitasking, so maybe a little quiet. That's all right. We're happy to have you as always. Abby is in the chat. How are you? Lars is also in the chat, says howdy y'all. What's going on, Lars? We see you in the green room. We'll get you in for the round robin. Always happy to have you in there and take a break from threads. That's good to get some healthy, step away for a second from threads.
He's up on them a bit.
But yeah, my name is Sunwarper, and with me today is Eon Lake and Curtis.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. We are currently at 354 subscribers. Got another subscriber in the week, and we're celebrating by having a more of a corporate outlook, because I think that's how it works with the bubbles and the new overlays and stuff like that.
I mean, I can always change it. You guys voted that you wanted it this way. This was our old school. We also got classic, which is very in your face, I feel like. Also, look at the banners. I'm going to just give a preview of what we're talking about today. Look at the difference when we do the different types. This is block. So, yeah.
Okay,
that's what we got.
New year, new overlays. It's the way it is. Hello, everybody. Thank you ever so much for joining us. We got a lot to get through, so we're going to get straight to it. And we're going to start with MPC. Let's start with the MPC, shall we? Let's go from there. I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, I got to get that up first, though. Hold on.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is a fantastic, lovely development coming out of Akai. I'll play the video in a sec. Obviously, everyone's aware of the MPC. Stem separation has come to Akai. They herald themselves as paving new frontiers for sampling. And it will be. It's not there yet, but this stem separation module will be into all MPC boxes. This will be the first time that we see stem separation in hardware. You can split into drums, vocals, bass, and other, which I suppose would be a generic kind of settle idea for the stuff, koala, that kind of thing. So you'll be able to split these stems and assign them to pads of their own, and then be able to chop them up in their own way. You can create waveforms with those ideas and make it go from there. From the demonstration, which we'll play in a moment, it seems to be like a quality rip. It seems to be like a really clean, really nice, concise separation. There's no artifacting or minimal artifacting. I don't know how much post-production they did on their demonstration, but I have to see. But yes, it's currently only on desktop, which Eon Lake, I think you're going to have to clarify. Being the only person with an actual MPC, I think you might have to clarify what that means for us. But it will be coming to the boxes and the standalone soon.
So you may or may not be aware, the MPC, or at least the MPC Live that I have, is kind of like a door. It's got sequence
for reference. There's an MPC Live too, which I think is what Eon Lake has.
Yeah. So what you see in the window there is you can run a version of that software on your PC at home and use the same samples and so on. Obviously, there's synergy to be experienced between having both and so on. I don't use it much myself, or in fact, I've never used it. But yeah, you can run a version of MPC on your laptop. It's much like any other DAW, I suppose, but perhaps not as fully featured as the one you probably use all the time.
Yeah, but now you can stem separate on it, which is awesome. So let's take a quick look at what they've got in their video, and then we'll talk about it and kind of what it means for sampling in general.
Very much so. We'll play a minute or so. It's a 10-minute video. It is up on YouTube, so you can see. We won't do the full thing, but you kind of get an idea of where we're going with it. So I'll press play.
I've got like a real classic sounding sample here.
Turn the lights down low.
Now, the great thing about this sample, it has all of the elements that we need, which is drums, bass, vocals and a melodic, and it has that classic sounding feel to it. So we might want to take out the vocal, the bass, or the drums, and this is where MPC Stems really does enhance your workflow. So let's use our start and end points to find the part of the sample that we actually want to stem out. So I'm going to use this section. Now we go to process and we navigate all the way to create stems. Here you'll see our 4 stem options that you can turn on and off. So if you don't want to stem out the drums, you can just simply turn that part off and then it won't be included. So we'll turn that on because we want all 4 parts. We can also set up our assignment to our pad, which will send the stems to that location. And we keep trim on, which is using our start and end points. So press do it. And then what it's doing now is processing the stems for us, which takes a few seconds. And then once that's completed, we'll navigate over to our main menu. And now let's play our stems. Now in Program Edit is where we can control our 4 stem layers. Take out the bass.
That's awesome. All right, we'll stop it there because that's just to show you exactly what it does. Things like Koala already do this, and I want to be clear about that. I mean, it's not hardware, but there are samplers that already do this to a degree, but there's a lot of artifacting on the Koala one, and this one, at least from the sound of it, and Curtis, you can put a link if you don't mind in the chat if anybody wants to watch it after. I mean, it sounds pretty pristine from what I've heard. So there's a lot there because this really changes the whole workflow of samplers, because if you're just want the drums, you can get them now. You don't have to try and filter things out and do things like that or find specific sections and things like that. I mean, it changes a lot. And like we've talked about Serato Studio before, Koala for stem separation, but having it in a dedicated box, once it's standalone, it's still not standalone at the moment. That makes a big difference, right, Ian? Like,
yeah, without a doubt. Although I think having it in the standalone is the critical part, because I think the convenience that it offers is if you're already in the application you're going to use anyway, and yet you've got this quite powerful new feature. That's it. Because what you don't want to be doing is on a desktop running multiple, pieces of software and transferring audio from one to the other. That integration, that workflow and that ease of use is vital, really, especially when, like we've often talked about, you're trying to keep up with ideas and flow and so on. You do not want to be messing around with different bits of software and so on. It really kills the vibe. So yeah, it's I want to know when I can have it. Actually, I've play around with it.
You'll actually use the desktop then, right? Or are you gonna wait till it's standalone?
I don't know. Maybe if I can't wait for the standalone, maybe if my patience goes, I'll have a go on the desktop and learn it for when it's ready on the standalone.
There you go. There you go. I mean, this is crazy. I would love to see other samplers follow suit, but I don't know if they're tailored for it. Like, I find it hard to believe if the SP could add something like that, because it's not as DAW as this, and there's so much more, I feel like, to the MPC in that way. Even the Digitact or something like that. Curtis, before we get to your take, quick thing from Ross in the chat. I know what stems are, but not how they actually work. Presumably there is something lost in the process. But that's kind of what we're talking about when we say, sorry, I saw Lars getting mad. I failed to mention machine. I always forget that one just because it's not in my, it's an awesome piece of gear. It's just not in my thing. Lars, let me know. I don't think stem separation's on there, is it? I see him typing. He's going for it. Let me know. But Ross, to answer your question, sorry about that tangent, but that's what we mean when we say artifacting. Like, if you check out videos of Koala sampler stem separation, you'll hear like little bits of other things, or just like digital artifacts from the stem separation process. Serato Studio is pretty clean, and I think Abby, if you're still in the chat, I think you used one to separate something on the Discord. There's like AI programs and stuff on the web that can do it as well. It's really cool to do, Ross, if you haven't tried it. Even just separating your own music. Like, I needed to mix a song that I made on the SP, and I didn't have all the separate parts, so I couldn't change the mix. I stem separated it, and then was able to adjust the drums, sidechain the bass to the kick and all that. So there's a lot more than just simple sampling that stem separation can do, or even just learning a song. You can separate the stems. You can be like, oh, this is what the bass is actually doing. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
magic the first time you do it. It's crazy.
For educational purposes, it's really good.
Yeah.
And if you don't intend on trying to take one track out of a song, if you're leaving it in a song and just rebalancing, the artifacts kind of don't matter because the rest of that material is still in there as well.
Exactly. It's more if you're trying to sample, like, oh, I just want the drums, and you get these bass artifacts. Well, now you have a key.
So
like
if you
a
did
designated key.
a perfect mix and then went, oh, maybe that kick drum's not loud enough, and you put it up, 6 decibels until it's way too loud, you could put it back down again and fix your mix.
There you go. I would love to see more nuanced stem separation, like more instruments, because most of them seem to always be the 4, like what this one had, bass, vocals, drums, and melody, whatever. 2 more chats before we get to you, Curtis. Lars says it is not on Machine, so that's a bummer, but maybe it'll come. That is probably, I think, the closest similarity in MPC workflow, kind of like with that more DAW-like structure of it, at least from what I know of Machine and all that. And MPC Smiling Hair says witchcraft. It feels like magic when you first stem stuff. It's crazy. Even with the artifacts, it's still really cool.
It shouldn't be
Curtis,
that good. It's too difficult.
It shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't. Curtis, what's your take on all this?
It made me look up how much an MPC Live 2 is.
What is it, 1,200?
Here it's so it's what, it's about 20K. Yeah, about 1,200.
You can get the one without the speaker used, the live one, and then there's the MPC one as well.
Well, that's what I was kind of having a look at.
Yeah.
It made me go. Okay, that's something. It did look really good. It looked really clean from the full video. It looks really clean, and that's again, artifacting is the issue. And if you want something that's clean, and that seems to be the way to go. I can see Abby's comment.
That's right. Yeah, Studio. There is that one. Yeah.
Yeah, the Studio is only $200. I'm looking and saving to buy a sampler, and I want a hardware dedicated sampler sitting here right where this keyboard is, so I can do my thing. And I want to be able to whack something in and just separate it and do it well, I suppose. That made me look at MPC. That perked up, and I went, "Oh, that exists. Maybe I'll have a look at that." It looks really good. It looks really dope. I'm the same as you. I'd like something a bit more nuanced. I would like to be able to, because like you say, you've got drums, bass, vocals, and other. I'd like to maybe have a few more nuances in that other. But I mean, we're in stem separation world. This is the beginning of stem separation. I ain't gonna be.
I mean, just the fact that you can separate it to even just those 4 is crazy. Like, even the thought of that a couple years ago would be like, what? Like Smiling Hair says witchcraft. And really quick, Pat Brady says new MPC coming though. Yeah, I've heard. I mean, there's been rumors of like a new MPC Live or the one. I haven't heard any recent ones, but I'm sure you're onto something. I'll look into it because I'm curious. But I know they did that SE edition of is it the X, that really big MPC? They did like a slightly updated version of that one recently. So I think they're about due. So yeah, if you know any details or rumors, Pat, let us know, because I'm curious to hear what's going on in the MPC world. Because I was so close to getting an MPC instead of the Digitact, but I really wanted more of that, like those machines, the sample machines on the Digitact, and just that more like not DAW workflow. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's just like the way I wanted to go with this setup over here, because I got the DAW over here, like on the computer. So I wanted something completely separate, but MPC is awesome. Before we move on, couple more chats. Smiling Air says, FL Studio went very loud about stems recently, and it's all otherworldly to me. Another thing I need to learn then. I mean, there's definitely learning to it, but it's not that there's not that much to learn. Really, all you do is you put something in it and tell it to separate, and now you've got like a mix basically of it. So it's just, if you do something where you sample or want to learn songs or something, it has a really cool use. There's some really cool use cases for it. And Lars says Studio looks cool, a little stripped down though. So but I like that they have all these tiers that you can kind of like, oh, I want to test the waters of the MPC. Well, you've got the little Studio you can check out. So yeah.
I don't think it'll be long until Native Access come out with their own version. It won't be long.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought so. On the back of this, like, there's no way. Stem separation is such a big thing at the moment. There's no way that Native Access won't go, hey, we got this too. Come and buy ours instead. Because
Native Instruments owns Isotope, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
Isotope is gonna have or has something that does stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be some, something's probably
will.
coming, whether it's from
Yeah.
Isotope or otherwise. But yeah,
There's always something coming. So, yeah. There's I mean, you can still get it in the software for now. You can still, like that RipX hit next that we did last year. They have got stem separations, as you said. Serato Studio. I've got Serato Studio installed on here, but I've never actually done anything with it, so I don't know the quality of Serato Studio stem separation.
it's awesome. Remember, I separated your song with it and made a remix for a YouTube video.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
you did. Yes, you did.
Guys, just me. Do you think we'll find in years to come, like way out into the future a bit, they'll have stem separators that you get plugins for them that mimic bad stem separators from the past?
The koala filter, right?
Artifacts. You can have
Koala artifacting, yeah.
just to try and make it a bit more,
Yeah.
vibey, vintage.
If you are making something glitch and you are making something a bit trippy, then there's nothing wrong with a bit of artifacting. Oh, well done, Steve. Nice one. Steve just opened the door.
Oh,
He did.
I
He got the
missed
door.
it.
There you go. Just let himself out. There you go. He's obviously happy about that.
There you go. He's like, I'm out. Enough of stems.
Stem separation's not
Enough
fair.
stems.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a purist, isn't he?
Yeah. Analog purist. That's Steve right there.
Exactly. So yeah, this is not for everyone, apparently, especially overfed cats who are getting grumpy because it's past their bedtime. Anyway,
well, we have an audience that we know who to cater to, right?
Exactly. If you want to hear about more, do you want to hear more of Steve's shenanigans over the week? Come find my live stream after the show. There are some stories from this week. Anyway, let us know what you think. Let us know if you're getting into stem separation. What would you use it for? Why are you using it? Let us know. Obviously, we are big on stem separation, trying to do that kind of thing. We'd like to know what you think.
New applications for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're at it, what does Akai need to include on the new MPC, if there is one?
More RAM.
More RAM.
Yes,
I get that.
That's more RAM.
More RAM.
The ability to stream disc.
Yeah.
There's 2 to start here off. Yeah.
There you go. We got you started. Finish it in the chat.
I'm looking for a nice segue, but I'm just going to go for it. This show is brought to us by our patrons, and thank you ever so much. There's many of our patrons in the chat today. Lars, who's in the green room waiting for the round robin. We've got Abby in here. We've got Bendu in here. Thank you ever so much. We really appreciate your support, and it is your support and the community that you are building that means that we can keep on doing this. So Ever, thank you for everything. If you are watching back live, or you happen to be watching on Spotify or Apple Music, or listening on Apple Music, and you're not a patron and you like what we do and you want to see us do more, then consider heading over to patreon.com/audionautic and becoming that. Pledges start as little as $2, and you get access to coming onto this live stream for the round robin. We have our own discussions in Discord. You can help build the show, and we have our own monthly hangout where, when the big scary world just doesn't understand what a ladder filter is, we can come down and talk about it for hours on end. It's beautiful. It's a lovely community. We've got releases coming out through the whole of this year, and you'll get early access to our releases, minus Sunwarpers, and everything else. So it's going to be fun. Sunwarper, what else do they get?
No, I mean, there's a lot, but biggest thing is Discord chats, early access to all the label releases we're putting out, things like that. If you want to check it out, head to patreon.com/audionautic. The link is in the description, and it's your support that allows us to do these podcasts every week and continue to build our Discord, which is growing. It's quite lively. It's a space on the internet where we can talk synths, music marketing, production, and more with like-minded producers, and we don't have to worry. Everyone knows what we're talking about, and we all get excited about the same thing. So it's a great space to just hang out and talk about these things. And I want to go really quick. It's kind of a segue, but Smiling Errors has a couple good ones in the chat. First, about the artifacting from stems. Smiley Gary says you've just predicted tomorrow's vinyl emulators, and they don't think it's going to be RAM. They think it's going to be a TikTok button that's going to be added to the MPC. Yeah, I can see that.
Is that a download or an upload, though? I'm wondering.
Oh, what if it's both? So you could sample TikTok, so you can really
Might
go
need two
viral. It'll be
TikTok
like
buttons.
viral button and upload button. Yeah.
Yeah, we heard you like virals. We put a viral button on your viral, so when you go viral, we can make it go viral again.
You can stem split the TikTok.
Mm.
There you go.
Okay.
That's
Even
what they're
better.
working towards. That's what they're working towards. That's the future.
Possibilities.
wait.
Lars
gonna be
says, if you aren't
amazing.
putting your jams on TikTok, are you even doing jams? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good question.
It's true.
It is
Do
very
you
much
even
so.
exist?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not on TikTok, so therefore I don't exist.
it's like
It's
the
way
whole
for-
if a tree falls in a forest thing. You know, if a producer
Nobody hears it, right? Yeah,
does not appear on TikTok, do they
Yeah.
exist?
yeah.
Does
I don't
anyone
exist.
Well, anyways, let's get off the TikTok because that's enough dystopian discussion.
Not on
But
TikTok.
MPC Stems looks awesome. If you have any other ideas or what you want to see that's not a TikTok button on the MPC, or that is, maybe you want to see that, put it in the chat, put it in the comments if you're watching back. But let's move on to Curtis's most excited. I think this is the most excited I've seen you in a while about a piece of
Really?
gear. And
Are
I
we
think instead of a
talking-
sampler, he's going for this one.
Yeah, are we talking
I-
chompy level excitement or?
I think beyond. I think
beyond-
beyond. Yeah.
beyond
I
chompy?
Chompy
just-
beyond.
Chompy Beyond. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. This is really nice. We did Liven last week, and that was a similar price, around about $240, $250, I believe. And for a
$240.
similar price, 240, right? For a similar price, you can get yourself this, which if you share the screen, the CPM DS2, which if I can get that, I'll play the full video with thingy in a minute. I was going to get a whole thing where you see that. This is an analog drone synthesizer with two analog 3340 oscillators, two sub oscillators, two analog filters, 14 LFO waveforms, two LFO wave selectors, 7 Stylophone routing switches, 12 modular patch points. So it's Eurorack compatible, which is a beautiful little notion, whacking that into little Eurorack. 8 vintage reverbs, a vintage delay, an effects mixer, stereo output, a built-in speaker. It runs on 6 AA batteries, and it's got 5 LFO depth attenuators. I just love the look of this, and it's only for $260. $260 if you can get this. This looks absolutely amazing, and it sounds bloody lovely, as they say up in Manchester.
Oh,
do you wanna
he
hear it?
means business when he's going in that dialect.
Oh, bloody lovely. Let's
I just
listen to
really
it,
quick,
and
I put it up already, but Lars is like, I can hear the passion in your voice. Yeah, this is the most excited I've seen him. It's monophonic, right? Yeah, because it's monophonic, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's monophonic. It's for creating drones, and so this looks like the ambient gold mine, and I would just love it to have it sitting here and just making some weird ass tunes. I'm gonna play the video and then we'll talk about it. All right, I'll shut up for a sec. You ready?
Can you about this? Yeah, so that's trippy. That's quite the trip. And it looks like we already sold Lars on it. Lars, I think you have, don't you have a Stylophone or something? I know this is like a modular synth, but I think you have something, right? I thought I saw him using something like that. Yeah, right? Yeah. He can correct us. So
Well, he wants to do a
beat. There we go. Yeah.
Stylophone beat. There you go. He wants to do a full hardware, full out of the box kind of doorless thing. So
Stylophone
vaguely
only
like-
Dallas album. There you go.
Oh yeah, it's great. It looks amazing. I saw it and I was just like, well, we were umming and ahhing about Liven over the last couple of weeks, last week, and then when the other one came out, and I was kind of umming and ahhing about it, but I saw this and I was like, if I had $260, I'd be like, give. I love it.
I just want to mention too, I find it very interesting, like the I mean, it's just whatever fits your own needs, but like the Liven has drums. You can do like full kind of chiptune kind of sounds. This is a dedicated like drone synth. You know what I mean? It's same price, different uses and stuff like that. Just interesting. And those price points, you can get a wide range of like whatever you need. Like if you want to make little chiptune tracks, like the live and what is it, mega synthesis, that's like it. But if you want drones, like you got it. It's just cool that now we're seeing in this small price point, because we always talk like there was only one company really starting to put stuff in that price point, it seemed. Now we're starting to see other companies pop up, and that's what we've been waiting for. So I think that's why we always talk about these, because it's good to see these not just beginner price points, but low price points. Smiling here says, you're saying this needs some chiptune added. I'm not saying that. I mean, everything could have some chiptune added. Sure. No. Yeah. It's interesting that at this price point, how wide ranging it can be now. And I just thought it was funny that Curtis is so amped up about like, not a dedicated drone machine, but like it does pretty much one thing, right?
Yeah, narrow.
Yeah, like a very limited thing. But if that's what you need, it's what you need. I'm not trashing it in any way. Just saying like that versus this thing that can. Do, I mean, it's still limited.
Because it sounds great. There's some tearing, bending waveforms that I haven't heard since that Soma Terra. Do you remember that? The great big piece of wood.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mad bending, like completely destroying sounds and mutating them into other sounds, which I really liked. And this sounds a little bit like that when you use it quick. But it looked like it's got a plate reverb on it as well.
Ooh. It does, yeah. And I think that's kind of why I'm so excited by it. Yes, it's dedicated. Yes, it's not like you can do lots of things with it. Part of kind of where I'm seeing everything has a function in my setup, right? So I've got the bass, I've got the arps, you know, for now I've got the beats in Ableton, you know, I've got a MIDI keyboard over here, that kind of thing. They all serve a purpose and they all serve a thing, right? I just like the idea of being able just to create this drone and just have this drone go through and just keep on going and just being able to play with the parameters, but it just keeps bending. And that one single point comes and just stays throughout and is modulated and kind of directs where everything else goes. And it's in a box that big.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the charm of it, though. Like a master of one, basically, right? Like even Chompy, if you watch some of the reviews coming out about Chompy, they're like, it does one thing really well. Like that's what it does. There's nothing wrong with that. I just thought it was interesting that at this price point, we're seeing such different results. And I think that's really cool. That's all. I think it's awesome to have something that has a dedicated function. Like, oh, I want this drone box so that when I need drones, I can go to this thing and just go crazy with it and see what happens. And then you're not stuck with it's not like the most complex learning process either, because you can just get it going real quick and figure out what you need and where you want to go with it. Like Lars says, it does one thing and it does it well. And Ross says, I think this is more of a question, right, to Curtis, but still planning on connecting it to your guitar pedals, though, because you got your guitar pedals all set up for that, for your streams, right?
Yeah, it will go into the mixer. It would do. I mean, this is a hypothetical. I'm not going to buy it anytime soon, but it would go into the mixer and everything. All the mixer run through the FX pedal. So yeah, it would do, which is even more synthesis goodness.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's got a dual engine of analog oscillators and filters. It's got tons of waveform shapes and so on. It's got dual stereo outputs. It's got an effects mixer and a line in. So you can use it as an effects box as well, as far as I can see.
That's awesome. That's really, because we were talking on the Discord about the let me see, I got it here, the NTS1, because it's got some really cool built-in effects and it's got a external in, so you can send audio into it and use it as an effects box. That's awesome. I love that, because when you get those crazy effects and LFOs and all that, sending guitar into it, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got one of these and had a lot of fun with that, because it's got quite an interesting delay circuit on it. I think this thing would be a step above that.
Was it the Monotrons? Does anybody remember those Korg?
The Korg Monotron.
The little like blue, and they had the delay one. I think you could, at least the delay one you could send.
What do you mean?
Was it Mono? Yeah. Well, I can't remember the name, but yeah.
Like sampling things.
I have one somewhere, but I don't know where. But yeah, I had the little blue one. And Smiling Airs asked, wait, line in so I can run wavetables into it? You could run basically anything. Oh, and Lars, thank you. Mono Tribe is the larger version.
All right.
Yeah, let me
see
actually
that.
just Google it really quick. They're these tiny. Yeah, Monotron. That was it. Okay, let me see if I can share the
Monotron and
screen just
Monotribe.
to show. Yeah, no, I can't at the moment, but I'll post it. We'll show it in the next one. I'll find it and we'll show it in the next live stream next week because they're awesome.
Oh, there's a delay with modulation on it as well.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, you could send. I think you could send audio into that one, and you might have been able to do it to any of them. I'll check because the one I have, I think, is the blue one, which wasn't delay. But yeah, they were awesome because they were like a stylophone, similar to the NTS one. They had this terrible little thing, and you could just slide on it. But
yeah. And
but
this
fun
thing, by the
sampling.
way, obviously is semi-modular as well.
Yeah.
So you can match it up to a modular rig.
There's a lot you could do with it. I get the excitement, Curtis. I was not diminishing it whatsoever. I just thought it was interesting at that price point to see such different goals in like the product, but it's awesome.
Yeah. I want to echo and come back to what you were saying as well about the notion of we're seeing more and more of these synthesizers come through at a relatively cheap price. It's $250. It was about 6K, 7K. That's not much
in the UK.
Sorry, £209.
£220.
220. Right, I'm with you. And it's I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's bugger all, and it's great, and it's one of the it keeps the kids interested in hardware and not going completely into the box, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, which is funny because I think when we were talking like in the Star stream or something a couple weeks ago, it was all about like, just getting rid of the hardware and going to all I was like, no, you can't do it. You got to have some hardware.
You got to have some hardware. Very much so. So yeah, let us know. Am I the only one who's jazzed up about this? Am I the only person who is getting
we're
very
all
excited
jazzed
by
up.
Now let's see what it will cost.
I want to see. Also, if anyone wants a live demo, you can just send me one and I'll do it. Stylophone, if you're watching, happy to promote the fuck out of it. I'd love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, speaking of loving, we have a wonderful weekend coming up. It is the official release of the full Music for Imagined Landscapes from Sunwarper. And to say wunderbar and to celebrate, we are having a listening party on Saturday. Which is 11 a.m. Pacific, same time as ADSN today, which is 7 p.m. UTC, 8 p.m. Central European time. We're having a listening party. We're going to sit, we're going to chill, we're going to listen to the whole bloody thing, and it's going to be amazing. So yeah, if you're down, come and say hi on Saturday. I'll put the link in the chat for anyone can see. I'll also put it in the show notes after this. I'm going to sit there with a beer. I will be pretending to work and listening to this. It's going to be great.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I'm very excited to finish it. And this is our launch of the 2024 slate of label releases. We're testing out all kinds of stuff with it. But one of the things I want to show beyond the listening party that we'll be doing, we've got merch. So there's a book and a CD. And the book has the whole story with all the artwork. But these are things we're testing for our label. So you'll be seeing lots of stuff from our label artists there on Audionautic. I think it's audionauticrecords.bandcamp.com. But yeah, very excited to get all the physicals figured out and all that stuff. The book came out really well. Curtis was crazy with making the backgrounds. We did a vote on Instagram to see what everybody liked the best because we were coming to blows whether we should do a black and white background or this crazy gradient one that he did, and the gradient one won out narrowly, but it went out, and it was a lot of fun. But we appreciated everybody in the community, the Discord, our patrons chimed in, and it's just been a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody there. And Ross asks like this on YouTube. I don't think you can have video, so it'll just be. It's on Bandcamp. It's sunwarper.bandcamp.com, and there's a RSVP. If you hit that, it'll like tell you when it comes up. We'll put the link. I think he already put it, but there's the link, and I'll put it in the description. But yeah, we'll be in the chat, so it'll be a text chat like what you're all doing on the chat. But maybe after we might be able to do, or I might at least be able to hop on quickly live on like my YouTube, or if we want to do it on Audionaut, let us know if you guys want to have a quick hangout after, or patrons, anything like that, let us know. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you there. So yeah.
That'd be amazing. Eon Lake, are you going to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's gonna
want
be
to listen to the whole thing in the way that it should be listened to.
That it was intended. Yeah. I mean, it was written monthly, so it could be listened either way, but it did come together in the end to, I think, fit in an interesting way. So yeah.
Well, I
almost
think
if you're
it's
live.
like going on a cruise through all these imagined landscapes.
That is the point. Yeah.
Check out.
You'll see if you check out the story, because I'm posting on my Instagram and stuff the full story. But there's like a whole story of like a interstellar traveler going to new worlds and seeing all this, and so yeah, it kind of worked out in that way. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm really excited for the booklet and stuff as well. It's the first time we've done something like this, and the notion of really being able to put the story out there behind the tracks as well, and like not just here's some artwork, here's some music, jobs are good, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, that kind of thing. But now we can kind of go through and we can kind of sit down and talk about each track as they come through, and we'll be doing a little bit of that next week. We'll be a bit more gear and kind of like production orientated, but we're really pushing it this year. This notion of getting in the nitty gritty of the stories behind what we all talk about. And this is a great start because Sunwolf has got some really interesting stories, really kind of nice ways. Now, I say as someone who's like sit and talk to him on a daily basis, this man going through his life as it is in reality, and then see these songs come out on a monthly basis, and you can kind of see where they come from. And it's really, I can't wait to share it with everyone. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it was a stressful journey near the end when the baby was born, but I got it done. And I'm actually most proud of some of the later tracks, because like the second to last one was in this weird time signature, because we talked about it in the Discord. We are talking all different time signatures, so I was like, screw it, I'll just do that. And then yeah, so it's fun to experiment, try different things. Smiling Air has asked, not sober. You don't have to be sober. There's this
sobriety is optional.
Yeah, sobriety's optional. Lars says, who wants to be sober on a Saturday? So it looks like Lars will join you. You guys can. And I think Curtis said he's going to have a brew. So yeah, you're all good.
I'll be at work. I'll be overseeing a middle school disco, but I'll have a bit.
So no brew for you then. I rescind the brew.
Yeah. I improve you.
Yeah. Isn't that like 8 p.m. on your time?
It finishes. That's the thing. So it starts at 6 because they're middle schoolers, right? And it'll be finished at 8, which is when this starts. So I'm going to shut off around about 7:30 and try and be home for around about 10 past 8. We're going to see.
There you go.
We're going to see.
Made to be.
So exactly, it's gonna be a fun night either way. Just again, similar to a Star Stream, just gonna chill with some like-minded people and just talk bollocks about production. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I don't have a segue, so I'm just gonna go through it. We do have
that's a segue in its own right.
We have some really interesting news coming out of the UK. My homeland, my home world has done something right for once. The UK government rules out a broad copyright exception for AI training. This is a wonderful little piece coming out of Music Ally or Musical.ly. Basically, the UK government has decided not to allow AI companies to freely use copyrighted content without a license, rejecting a previous proposal for such an exemption. Initially, the government has considered opposing the exception, and with the support of the committee, has successfully kept pressure on the government to reject the idea. But basically, it means now that as of early 2024, AI companies who are using copyrighted material to feed their AI and make their AI have to pay a fee, and they can't do it anymore, which is wonderful news for artists. There's been a lot of controversy, especially around things like Midjourney, for example, where they've been using copyrighted material to feed the AI and make the AI grow. And it's seemingly, in this regard, to music at the very least, that will no longer be a problem. So that's a little public service announcement. That's a very nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, but looks like Ross already did in the chat. It is nice, first of all, just like they say, but how could they police companies using that information? Like how would they know if it was used? I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, I know you can ask like ChatGPT, like, what's your source, but I don't think it divulges that information. And I was listening to, I think it was a Wall Street Journal is doing a podcast all about like the story of OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT. And I think it said that they've stopped stating like what their training material is and all that. So it's interesting. I don't know if the article said it, if you read that, if you saw that section, I mean, if it's mentioned, but I'm just curious, like, and I don't know all the ins and outs of AI, but how would they know, like, oh, this was used or something?
I think in theory, as far as I understand it, it doesn't say anything about that in the article. As far as I understand it, it is a case of if you're like audited or if you are approached by an official body looking to inspect this stuff, and it's basically they're making it a criminal offense for you to
I
lie.
think somebody makes a
Essentially,
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So whereas before it was kind of a grey area, and it's like saying, well, yeah, we use copyrighted material, but no one said we couldn't, which is kind of how it's gone down.
I can't believe they asked for
Um,
exemption to do that, though. Like, what?
You got to do what you got to do. Like, I mean, we could
That's
go
like,
into we could go into a
man.
whole ethical debate about copyright and copyright infringement and stuff like that. But what this has done is it's shown consistently that there is this idea that you can't just rip off material. You can't do that, which is nice, and that's a good thing in that regard. Like Mid-Journey, Stable Diffusion. I don't know about Stable Diffusion actually, so I don't want to get in trouble. But I know that Mid-Journey, for example, has just basically ripped copyright material from the internet, fed it into the AI, and then that's how they've made their AI so good. And this is saying that they're saying that that's not cool, and that's a good precedence.
That's interesting. Another thing I had seen about AI was that it's trained by it, but it's not like ripping that. It's not actually just going, I'm taking this small piece of that. And that's, I mean, if anybody knows how the AI works in that way, or it probably depends also on the algorithm used, all that, the training and all that. But I was reading, I think on Reddit or something, so who knows the validity, but that it's not like just ripping, oh, this small section of this piece of art and this one, like it's using that to then design, like how we would say influenced by, this artist and this artist or something. But it's such a weird fine line anyways, like how do you determine all that? So just interesting, but I think this is good. I mean, this is good news. I think it's very interesting. Lars says AI is a hallucination generator. I mean, yeah, when you get the AI hallucinating, it's when they start it's crazy. Interesting times we live in. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, do you have any thoughts?
Many, often.
That's such a dad
Specifically
joke.
to this context.
It actually starts my head spinning a bit because I start thinking about, well, how does AI write a song and produce a song? I mean, where does the audio come from? It's not rummaging around the studio like me again, right? What we got there? I think I'll need a piano for this. So what is it using? It must be taking existing audio of some kind and manipulating it and changing it. I don't know. It's and as far as how would you know what was used? I mean, what happens when you set AI on AI, where you go, right, generate a song, but make it so that you can't tell where the bits came from, and you go, right, you AI are going to listen to this and figure out how they did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see this like escalating war of complexity, and then I start thinking about AI designing other AI, and you're getting different layers of AI in the end, where you develop something that's so complicated you never could have done it on your own. Only 150 AIs could have designed something that complicated. And about that time, I need to calm down and have a cup of tea or something, I think.
Just get outside and breathe for a second before Skynet inevitably takes the air away from you.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Sorry, mate. I didn't mean to cause anxiety to dwell up inside you. That's
You're
that's
giving
not
him an
what I wanted.
existential crisis, man.
I didn't want to send you into a spiral of existentialism. I just wanted to know what you thought.
I think it's very interesting to know this, and I'm glad to see steps taken in this way. And Lars says it takes pieces of data and rearranges them into patterns that it recognizes. So maybe that is what it all does. I'm not sure. I mean, I just had heard otherwise, but I mean, it makes more sense that it would be this way. I just was asking the question because I'm curious if anybody knows for sure anything. But like I was saying, it sounds like even these AI companies and things like that don't exactly divulge the way they're doing these things.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but
it
maybe
doesn't-
this is a step
record
though.
any guitar parts, though.
Maybe this is a step though in that direction of like they will be required by law to divulge like, hey, it's trained by this. Here's, you know, I it's interesting. So we'll see.
But like I said
Okay.
last week, it also feels a little bit like we're doing ourselves the fun jobs again.
Yeah. That is the
Mm.
crazy part. And I think somebody in that Wall Street Journal podcast was saying they thought maybe it was even Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, but somebody was saying like they expected AI would take the difficult jobs, you know, the driving and the manual labor, like this and that, and then it ended up just doing all the creative things. It's like what? So yeah.
I think that kind of makes sense. To be honest, it kind of makes sense. Having lived in that world for a while, that does make sense. Like, you know, artists and freelancers charge more and more money, and there's time, and there's backs and forth, and there's rewrites, and there's redos and stuff like that. And if you're a corporation or you're a business and you just want something yesterday, and you don't particularly care about how good or bad it is, it makes sense to use AI. It is the market driving the market in that regard.
Yeah,
It sucks.
market driving
I'm
the
not saying it's a good thing.
I thought
I'm
you
not
were
saying
gonna
it's a
say
good thing.
something about monkeys or something, but
Well, not. I mean, I can tell you, but I mean, I can always talk about monkeys, but not in this regard.
yeah, a couple bits of
No.
chat. Ross says machine learning could do the legwork prior to its data being passed to AI for refined algorithm. And Smiling Air says exactly where the hell are the robots for the shitty jobs? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We did the vacuum cleaners and then gave up. Then started
Yeah.
giving them
Yeah.
good jobs.
Yeah.
And they didn't do a very good job of it. The one my dad's one upstairs just keeps bumping into things. It's horrible. It doesn't even clean.
Yep. And that's kind of sounds like AI in general. I mean,
That's a whole nother podcast.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole other podcast. We'll do a
Lars says
sister
his
podcast
robot
one day.
vacuum is awful.
Just
Well, there you go.
just terrible political views. Smokes too many cigarettes.
It's a horrible vacuum.
Nobody likes it.
It's not very kind. It's not very kind. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it does set a good precedence. It is nice. Copyright is something that we consistently come back to. It is something that we as artists and musicians need to keep aware of and keep abreast of. Because yeah, it's your stuff and you've got to protect your stuff to the extent that you want to protect your stuff. I'm all right
Wait,
personally, but some people really like it.
I gotta share this. Lars says my daughter named it Kirby because it sucks. Sorry, thanks, Lars. That was a good one.
I tell you what, I think it's about time that we brought Lars on, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll move over to the round robin, and what we're talking about today is still about copyright to a degree. We're talking
It is,
sampling and where
It
to
is,
find
yeah.
samples. We'll talk a little bit about ways to not deal with copyright in a totally legal way for sampling in terms of sampling yourself, but or going through and getting it approved. But that's a nightmare, as I think Curtis can attest to. But
Yeah.
this is the round robin, so Curtis will explain what the round robin is for those that aren't familiar. But in the round robins, patrons can join in. So Lars has patiently been waiting both in the chat and in the green room. So Lars, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to hop in. Yeah, I think that's a thumbs up. It's got light. There we go. Yeah, the light was like I just saw like a hand and then light just like shining. You'll see when I let him in. While I let him in, Curtis, can you just give us a brief on what the round robin is for those unfamiliar?
Yeah, so the round robin is our collective discussion segment of the show. We usually take a question, we take an idea, a concept, or something related to music production and composition, and then we just throw it out to people, throw it out to the community, see what we all think. In the idea of it, with the idea of sharing our knowledge and wisdom, so that we can grow. It can be existential. It can be about production itself. It can be something work-related tips or tricks or whatever. And this week, we're talking about where we. Thank you. You beat me to the punch some more, but thank you ever so much.
Sorry, man. I thought you were talking. I wanted to let you have your moment.
It's cool. I appreciate it. This is what we're talking about: sourcing samples. Going massively with the S alliteration today. If you hadn't noticed. And we're going to keep that going because, yeah, we're looking at where we get our samples from. Sampling is something we're all fascinated by and we're all exploring. But where the devil can you get them? There's many different facets and there's many different ways. And we're going to just share some ideas, some common, some less so in that regard. But first, Lars, that's a hell of a moustache. How you doing, sir?
Hmm.
Oh, and he froze right on cue. That
Why, thank you. I'm growing it back out. I've been on leave for almost a month. Yeah, I got to bring more facial hair to this. You know, every
There you
time I
go,
see
yeah.
guys, it's Curtis and Sun Warper with the facial hair, and I can't get Eon Lake to grow a beard.
Well,
No.
I don't know if you've ever mentioned it to him, but I mean, we could start like a GoFundMe or something for him to grow a beard.
That would quickly turn into a go shave me.
Oh, okay.
Get
It's
a beard
not a good look.
transplant.
Not a good look, no.
There you go.
I'd have one,
Yeah,
it would be one of those ones that's white at the front and then dark everywhere else.
Pencil it in, man.
Oh, that's
Just look like
perfect.
a chimp.
So
Then
I have to grow out the facial hair because for whatever reason my eyebrows are straight white. Like if I'm not wearing glasses, you can't even tell I have eyebrows. So I have to have some kind of facial hair. Otherwise, does anybody remember the movie Powder back in the 90s? Oh my God, did
No.
I just age myself? Damn it. All
I
right, never
think
mind.
you
Let's move
did.
right along. Move right along.
We'll just skip right on.
I'm old enough to have seen it, definitely. I just didn't. Yeah.
Oh,
All right, well,
Lord.
let's get into samples. Then
Okay.
we'll just move right along for you, Lars. We got you covered. Curtis, would you care to start the sample train with Splice and things like that?
Yeah, you're a splice man.
I'm a Splice man. I love Splice. Splice is it's the go-to trendy thing at the moment, and it's one of those things that it's samples that you don't really own, and it's not traditional, and it's great. There's a sheer abundance, instant creativity. It does have a monthly fee, and you do run into some problems, which I'll get into in a minute. I just want to bring up Splice for anyone who doesn't know what it is. Say again.
Is it royalty free?
It is royalty free, completely and utterly royalty free. The only caveat to that is that there's no limit to who can download the samples. So if you get a popular sample, chances are, well, not chances are, I've seen it once, but where multiple people have downloaded the same sample, which if you're not editing your samples, then I kind of more fool you, I suppose I should be saying. Like, if you're not editing your samples after you sample, that's the fun of it. Then you deserve everything you
There's
get.
one thing to keep in mind though, because things like what's it called, copyright strikes, and I'm totally blanking on the word, but like CD Baby, they can check for sound. Like if you go through CD Baby and say, hey, do the copyright checks and strike things, like you could have issues, because even though it's technically royalty free, if someone marks this song as, hey, this was my song, like on CD Baby, then that will be copyright struck anytime a similar sounding sample happens. And we've got a couple people in the chat mentioning the same thing. So before we share Splice, I wanted to bring this up because this is good to know in general. So make sure you're always repitching samples if you're getting it, or chopping them up if you're getting full sounds. Chop them up in a sampler on an SP, anything you've got, and do crazy things with it. But repitch is usually a good way to avoid copyright in general. Just saying. Smiling Air says Splice samples get copyright strikes the moment after someone uses them first. Yeah, and I think it would also depend if their distributor and things like that are, if you're choosing, the person uploading is choosing to copyright strike things through their distributor, because like on CD Baby you can choose yes or no. DistroKid, I think you have to pay extra for them to do that check. J Bell says royalty free, however you will, and that's all caps, get copyright struck. And Smiling Ear says, but yes, resample them, or I won't pretend to care when you cry. Yeah. harsh words, but quite true. But yeah, resample, repitch, do things like that. When it comes to YouTube, especially, I mean, just since we're talking sampling in general, if you repitch sounds, typically the YouTube algorithm will not catch it. But you don't know if it's something like Splice, you don't know what someone else is repitching to. So if you go down 4 semitones and they did that too, and then did the copyright thing, yeah. So make sure you chop it up, do things like that. Yeah, big brain, Lars. Big brain. Big Red Rise. How you go like, well,
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
But I
Let's
want to just
hear
I
this.
want to go into this a little bit. So what the wonderful thing about this is the instant creativity. If you want to, if great for beat makers, if you want to make a certain type of genre, you can. You just type in the genre, you just filter it and everything, and it's really intuitive in that sense, and it's really good. You get credits. You can download either a single samples one by one, or you can download the entire pack. It's really cool. So you just hit drum and bass, for example, and it will take you all through all the different ones, all of them here. You can sample your samples. It will tell you the key. It will tell you the BPM. And it will tell you how long they are. You get even a little waveform there. I don't know if you can hear that.
Nice drum and bass.
And down here, once you download it, you can change the key. You can do it all outside and then import a fresh sample into your DAW. It also, there's a bridge to your DAW, which is quite cool as well. I like Splice. It's really cool. It is really nice. Just make sure you save your samples in another folder, because they do say you can keep your samples, but also you don't get access to your samples through Splice if you fail to make your subscription payment, which I often do. The other thing I just wanted to quickly show is this new thing that they've brought in recently. It's in beta mode at the moment, but you've got this create where you can choose a style, and it will give you loops, and it will give you things to play around with, and you can just sub them out. You can move them through. You can add more stacks and different things, for example, and it uses AI to give you some loops. Which again, instant beat making.
Yeah, there's some really interesting new companies. I haven't talked about them yet because I'm still looking into it, but making AI sample packs, like you give a prompt and it creates a sample pack out of it. Like, oh, make jazzy piano in the style of Bill Evans, and it. Now, I did that one exactly, and it came back with what had to be MIDI of like 808s doing jazz drums, and then like, you know, an piano doing like Bill Evans style jazz. So it's not quite there yet.
Right then, yeah.
But it was interesting.
Absolutely,
but yeah, things like that. There's also TrackLib, which you can check out as well. TrackLib, you can get like full tracks, and it also stem separates, and there's a whole through them. It's actually interesting from what I've seen. You can do like it's different royalty tiers depending on the song you use and how much of it. So you can actually put the song out there approved for usage and not deal with copyright strikes, supposedly. Now, I'm not super familiar with it, but from what I've seen, you can actually go through them to release the thing and get the proper legal copyright things and all the splits and things like that, and then you're good to go, supposedly, theoretically. But if anybody has used TrackLib and has either good stories or horror stories with that, oh, looks like Lars. So Lars, let us know. But chat if you've done it too. Lars, go ahead.
So I did check it out at one point. I want to say it was probably about a year and a half ago. But the library they have is very, very, very limited. Like I was not able to find very much, and most of what I could find was classical music of all things, which is really cool for sampling. You can always it's a real wealth of sampling in classical music there. But you know, if you're thinking like, oh well, I can take this hook from like this like 60s Motown song that I want to do. No, it is not there.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. Anything else regarding Splice, Curtis?
Not from me. There's a few things in the chat. And
it looks like a lot of people are getting flashbacks today. First, it was Lars. Sorry about that, Lars, with the PowerPoint. But you know, you seem okay, so maybe exposure therapy helped. But
it seems to be helping. Yeah.
But yeah, J-Bell says, well, this is sad, and I don't think it's true. But J-Bell says, I don't think anyone cares about my music. So, and that emoji, which the emoji actually came through. So at least that's something. J-Bell says, oh, I'm getting flashbacks. So sorry about that. And Smiling Air says, I did not get on with Splice. It's all good quality. Just feels like being dressed by my mom when I use it. Yeah. And Pat, I was going to mention this, Pat, but I'm glad you brought it up. Splice is integrated with MPC. Yeah, there's direct integration there, which is really cool. So yeah, lots there. But let's move on to the next one. So the next one, oh, go ahead, Jan Lake. Sorry about that.
Splice, does it not sync samples that you actually download and choose a favorite or whatever? Does it not synchronize those across multiple devices? I seem to remember that was one of the features of it. So if you use another machine, your sounds are all there already.
Yeah, it does do that. Yeah.
That's cool.
I could, for example, I'll download them. I'll usually, if I'm on the train or something to work, I'll download them on the phone app, and then by the time I get into work, they're all there, which is always nice. And I understand what Smiling Errors is saying about being dressed by my mum. You can just make a beat entirely from samples, if that's what you mean by that regard. But I suppose it's about not doing that in that regard.
There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Tina
It's
destroyed
about
my
not
wardrobe, but
doing
yeah.
that. Yeah. There you go. Take that as you want it. But let's go to the next one. So this one is what I like to do if I'm just like having fun, because we'll get to the con of it. Sample records or songs, things like that. Throw it through a sampler, grid it up with like the PO33, change the pitch, chop it up, just turn it into whatever. And if you want to see examples of that, you can. I mean, there's tons, but I have a bunch on my channel, Sunwarper on YouTube, where I do it on like the SP404, things like that. So the pro in my mind is it's, I mean, I don't want to say originality, but you can do a lot with it, and you're just taking sounds and really changing it up. And if you're putting it through samplers and things like that, you are adding different artifacts and noise and things like that. The con, of course, is copyright issues. So that's going to be a big problem, and I mean, ethical issues too. If you're thinking about releasing songs like, to sell or things like that, you need to consider that, especially if you're just ripping or if you're ripping copyright songs. A way around this would be public domain, things like that. You could sample that. There are things like that, but if you're just trying to learn sampling and have fun and things like that, it's really interesting to take something that's been recorded. And in the fourth tip, which I'll just spoil right now, sampling yourself, you could do it without dealing with copyright. But take something like a full song or a part and just see what you can do. Because if it's got drums, let's say, right? If you chop it, now you have a bunch of melodies stuck to a kick and a bunch of melodies stuck to a snare, and you can rearrange it based around the kick and the snare and get something completely new sounding. It's a lot of fun to do, and just to kind of get your brain working outside the box if you're used to DAWs and things like that, and like MIDI. Yeah, that's my take on it. Eon, like, anything you want to add?
I was just thinking Mr. Scruff got a lot of mileage out of doing stuff like that, and wrote some pretty good tunes as well.
A lot of artists do a lot with that. Yeah.
Just try some stuff though. I mean, that's kind of like the that's what sampling's all about, really, isn't it? It's about the free, just mess about, take bits of anything that occurs to you and piece it together. It's just a few dull things like, not getting sued to, down to your socks. You have to think about beforehand, but after that bit, it's all fun.
And Lars, what about you? Have you ever done this, or anything you want to add to it?
Have
are you muted?
Stolen copyrighted material to make my own work? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. We got you now.
Hello?
None of us have.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Oh,
Can you hear us?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear y'all, yeah. No, I was just saying, if you're asking me, have I ever stolen copyrighted works in order to make my own stuff? I would never do such a thing.
No.
Yes, I love the sarcasm there. No, I just mean what when you do that, when you just steal. No, I'm kidding. When you do that sort of sampling, like, what do you like to do? Do you like to repitch, chop it up, manipulate it, move it around? You did that album, right, where you were like repitching songs off a cassette or something, didn't you?
Where I had the country songs that I was repitching.
Yeah. I was assuming you might have used Paul Stretch or something for that, but what did you do to drop the pitch?
So I actually I took it into machine and I just dropped the pitch with the tone or the tune button or the tune knob. My bad. Okay. And I also used this I use this plugin called Mishby from Freak Show Industries. Actually, so I managed to figure out how to get my machine and like all my audio stuff to route in. If I can share my screen, I can actually show you guys what it looks like if you want to see.
Yeah. If you go to present, it should let you share it. You see that present button? If you see that,
share screen.
Well, he's working on that. Curtis, what's your take on this method?
I think it's a good way to go. I think sampling yourself is always fun, and yeah, avoiding
Oh, hey,
copyright is always
you
good.
guys
I have.
see it?
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead, Lars.
All right.
There we go.
Let's see if it's there. We go. Whoa.
Ooh.
And what is that called?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
seeing it.
Mhm.
What's that
It's
effect
called
again?
Mishby from
Mish-
Freak Show Industry. Just a basic little clap loop here, and so you can.
Oh, the
You got
sound
the-
seems to be dropping a bit. I'll tell you what, Lars. Is everybody else's sound and video dropping from this? Because I'm getting a
Sound
lot
is,
of stutter. Yeah. Okay, Lars. Why don't you, if you don't mind, just post this to the Discord after, because this is getting a bit stuttery. So, Smiling Airs was saying they bring chaos.
You
All
bring chaos,
free
yeah.
as well. I like that they
Mhm.
bring chaos. Is that the tagline? It should be. Yeah, Lars
Yeah.
just sent Freak Show Industries. Thanks, Lars.
What's the one? What's
So
the one?
Curtis, continue.
Yeah,
Finish your
they-
thought there on this.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I found that in the name of finding samples, what it teaches me or forces me to do is to look for those obscure ones, because those are the people that you can hit up personally and contact and say, "Hey, can I sample you?" And they come back with like, "Yeah, that's fine." And then obviously sampling yourself is a good way to go. It is really tough getting permission to sample. Got a load of samples. I got a load of samples cleared for Marooned, but it took ages, and they really didn't want me to.
I
They
remember.
really didn't want me to. Yeah, they
What-
really didn't want me to.
What samples were you trying to get cleared?
I've got a lot of stuff from Ramdas, so I had to contact the Ramdas Institute, Be Here Now,
Oh,
and say, "Hey, I've got a load of samples. Is that all right?" And at first they were like, "No," and I'm like, "Why?" But I just go, "Why?" And then
It's interesting because a lot of music they have, maybe because they've been putting stuff
but that's
out.
what
But
it
they
is.
have. Yeah.
They want control over it. They want control over the narrative and what they do,
Yeah.
which kind of goes against the ethos of Ramdas, really, ironically. But eventually they back down. So yeah, it can be a ball ache, and it can really put a crimp. I would say if you are using a sample, be prepared for 6 months back and forth.
Mm.
So if you know that you're going to be using a sampler or sample from something and it's high level, start that conversation as soon as you started writing the song. If you know this is a song you want to put out, start that conversation straight away, because it's going to take you months to get through to people. That's what I say.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know.
Mm.
But Lars, real quick. So I know you were showing the plugin, but we had some internet issues. But what it just kind of like distorts and grimies up the sound. Did it slow it down even more? That plugin?
yeah. It slows it down, and it basically it's kind of like a cassette tape emulator, except if your cassette tape emulator was like horribly broken.
I love it. I love it.
That's the way
I got to get this
describe it.
plugin, man.
You
I
should
gotta
do
get
that
it.
marketing,
Cool.
Lars. It's great.
I actually
Him
have
and
all of
Smiling
their
Airs would
plugins.
just crush it. They bring
Oh, yeah.
chaos.
Yeah, if you check it out, they've got one called Backmask, which basically you remember back in the I don't know if you remember, but they had something called backmasking, where they would basically say, "Oh, if
reversing
you
stuff,
played the
right?
record backwards, it says something else." They made a whole
Yeah.
plugin based on that concept,
That's great.
and it's called
That's what you
Backmask. It is super fun.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna check
There you
out
go.
all these plugins. That sounds
Apparently,
awesome.
this one's called Mish because maybe I shouldn't have built you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Nice one,
that
Eon
is
Lake.
exactly right.
It is good. I think it is good. So we've got Splice, we've got Originality, which is kind of the other way too. What is next? What else have we got? Another way. We promised 4.
So this one, there's 2 more. So this one is an extension of the first one, and I'm gonna expand a little more than what we have on there. So this is one from Bendu, Sample CD Archive, and I also just want to mention public domain things like is it Internet Archive? Internet Archive. You can get a bunch of like public domain videos and sounds and things like that on there. And if it's public domain, you can use it without any copyright worry. So you can take that. But here is Sample CD Archive YouTube channel. So there's a bunch of sample CDs from what, like the 90s or something?
70s right
90s,
through to the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of, I don't think these are the full CD rips though. I think they're just small segments of them, but you can also find the CDs. But I found because I've been doing some vinyl digging, and I found a like 100 Sounds vinyl that just has all these different one shots and stuff. And it's old, like really old. I got it at a Goodwill or something. So you can also just check out, like, go vinyl hunting and things like that. And there are some things that are just like one shots and stuff like that. So I think it's good if we delineate. There's samples, which would be like loops and things like that, and then there's one shot samples, which would be just like hits of like a snare or a piano note. And there's kind of different things there. And I feel like when it comes to one shots, you're not dealing obviously as much with copyright, because it's not a melody, it's not a chord progression, it's a note. So just interesting things to take note of if you're looking into sampling or expanding on sampling. But yeah, Sample CD Archive and Internet Archive. And like I said, Internet Archive is public domain. So yeah, and I think some are Creative Commons, but you can check what the copyright is on Internet Archive. That's a great way to get samples.
They've got factory samples from Akai S6000s and stuff like that on there.
Are you serious?
That's cool.
On Internet Archive.
You
got to post that in the Discord, because I need that.
I'm looking at
if you'd be so kind.
90s sample CDs directory listing.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. So there we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, Eon, like, if you'd be so kind to put that link in the Discord, that would be much appreciated. You can put it production process, whatever Discord. But if you want to check out all the awesome stuff Eon like just found, and we'll put a link to the sample CD as well, archive. That'll be in the Discord. Link is in the description. Smiling Earth says your voice was full of love when you heard that. Yeah. I love all those old samplers and stuff like that. Yeah. All right, we got one more, Curtis. Do you wanna take it?
Yeah. So finally, this is always a fun one. Making your own samples. Sunwooper has just released his Sounds by Sunwooper electric piano, which he sampled himself in the room, and that is always fun. It's a good way of doing it. It's wholly original. There's no notion of copyright, because you're literally making the sounds they are. It is time consuming at times. It's also very fulfilling. Fulfilling. I like doing that, just kind of like whacking a table and going, all right, that's a kick, let's make that a kick, that kind of thing. It's good fun.
But it's not only just one shots, right, Jan Lake? Like, you always talk about resampling yourself. So if you don't mind expanding on that a little bit, then we'll get to you, Lars, after.
Well, workflow in Ableton revolves around a certain amount of either importing audio from modular or bouncing tracks down that I've processed heavily are going to absolutely kill my machine if I keep trying to run like that. And some of it is done for reasons of sound design anyway, so it makes sense to freeze them and flatten them. So there's a lot of audio that is material that is part of songs, but that doesn't mean that I can't take that and repitch it and use it in a different key in another guise in another song. Especially, for anything that is inharmonic sounds, but even for the pitched material as well. I know what key it's originally in, so I can shift it to another key, no problem, and use it again. So, using your own stuff. I mean, sometimes I do sample myself deliberately, i.e. I'll sit on the kit and play something that I want to go in a song, but record it just as audio, and then maybe run it through a bunch of treatment so that it sounds, more like I imagined it and less sort of straight out of the packet. Sometimes it's something that I've programmed, but sometimes it's something from an old song, or maybe it's just something that I never even finished back in the day, that works fine as source material for another song.
Yeah, I was just going to say too, another thing, and we talked about this on the Discord. I think Smiling Ears had brought up a goal for 2024 or whatever last week, but taking even like things you never gelled with that you were making. Like I had an 8-bar loop that I could not get anywhere, and I just gave it to Curtis and was like, just take it, just get it off my hands. And he made this 9-minute sprawling, like, epic. I was like, how did you even get that? I didn't believe that it was from the sounds I gave him, because it was all stretched out and stuff like that. So that's another thing. If you can share ideas, like, loops of a song, like what Ian is talking about, and give it to someone else to splice, chop up. And I use splices and chop, not Splice the website, but chop it up, move it around, move things and all that. And you can get some really interesting ideas. Lars, I want to hear from you in 1 second. I just want to share the last 2 chats we got. Smiling Air says Contact is your friend for that. I think in terms of like sampling yourself and things like that. Any DAW2 has like a built-in sampler. There's the sampler in Logic that you can set different zones and parameters and velocities and all that. And what is it? Is it sampler in Ableton? There's a sampler.
That's the basic one, and it's simpler.
There's a few. There we go. Okay, and then Maureen's friend says sample, resample, then resample again. Those are words I live by, my friend. Those are words I live by. And Maureen's friend, I just want to add too. Sorry, Lars, I'll get to you in just 1 second, I promise. But he's been posting some awesome. Well, I appreciate your patience. Maureen's friend's been posting some awesome drum samples in the patron chat on Discord. Awesome. I know Curtis was splicing one up a couple days ago on his live stream, but yeah, there's some. He's been putting out some really cool drums. And yeah, so we share some samples on the Discord. So if you're looking for samples and things like that, check it out. Okay, Lars, I appreciate your patience, my friend. Do you make any of like resample yourself at all or make one shots, things like that?
So resample myself? No, not really. Normally when I'm trying to get like a very like unique kind of sound, I'll make my own synth patches and stuff. So here's the thing. So one of the things I really like to use is something made by Native Instruments called Form, and it's actually a reactor instrument that you can buy standalone. So what it does is like you can take your samples that you've collected and you can put them in there. You can chop them up in there and play it out just like a synth. And it has all its own effects and stuff in there, and then you can just add effects onto it again. I would try to share my screen again, but it got real glitchy that last time, so we won't do that.
Just pop it in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll make like a quick video of it and show it in the Discord. Now, as far as like getting my samples, so did y'all ever read the Computer Music Magazine or Future Music Magazine back in the day? So they used to come with sample discs that you could get like free like one shots and loops and stuff off of. So I'm going to go ahead and just share this link in here if I can. Is it going to work?
I think when you put links, they're not clickable. Yeah, just put it in the, like I said, I have a broken record. Throw it in the Discord after the show. Eon like already threw in the 90s sample CDs. I'm going to dig through that later.
Always throw
I'm going to dig through that sample library later.
Yeah, I put it in ADSN. If anyone wants to look at it.
Yeah, it's in the ADSN channel on the Discord. So it's public. The ADSN channel is public. We have a bunch of public channels, so head on over there if you want to check it out.
Okay, so I shared the link, but here it is. So this website right here.
I got you. Here you go.
Music Radar.
Oh, you're glitching out again, I think.
Literally,
we'll show it.
They've put them all here.
There we go.
Wow.
Is it showing?
Okay. Yeah, it's showing.
It's like a lot.
That's a lot.
91,283 free songs.
Yes. Every disc.
All right. I love today. Today is a great day.
Put out. They uploaded up here, and they're completely free and royalty.
Hold on, Lars. Hold on there. You're clipping a bunch. Let me remove that. End that presentation, Lars, because I think it's when you present, you're just chopping up like crazy. But today's a good day. We just got a lot of samples. I like today. Today's good. Ross says, where was that site? So it looks like hold on there, Lars. Hold on. It looks like there we go. Hold on, Lars. 1 sec. So Ross asked, where was that site? So I'll post it. Lars posted it in the patron channel, but I'll post it when this ends in the ADSN channel on Discord. So it's public if you want to check it out. And we got it here actually. So looks like Curtis got it covered. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Lars, I think when you share it, it really glitches out. Your mic just like chimes in and out, and I don't think you're hearing. So you'll probably want to just end that share, like stop sharing the screen so it'll stop glitching. I think I might have lost you now. I just did thumbs up.
Dang it.
Yeah, it's all good, man. We got to wrap up anyways in a sec. So yeah, we got you now.
Yeah, we got you back now.
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay.
All right.
I'm really mad that my internet can seem to handle like 8 people watching YouTube, everybody in the house watching Netflix on their tablets and every single phone. But I try to share my screen here with you guys, and my internet's like, nah,
Bridge
that.
too
Yeah.
far.
It's too much. That's what breaks the dam, right? That's what does it.
There's too much in that regard.
Wonderful.
There's
Um,
people
All right.
downstairs streaming YouTube going, what the hell's going on?
Why'd
He's
my
sharing his
YouTube
screen
stop?
again.
Well, all right. So those are our 4. So just to recap them quickly. So it's Splice or other things like that, sample libraries, tracklib, things like that. Sample records or songs. Sampling vinyl is really fun, but you do have to worry about copyright. But you can also get sample CDs, public domain sounds from Internet Archive. We just have a bunch now over on the Discord, thanks to Eon Lake and Lars. And then the last one is make your own samples. And this is, I think, the most time consuming, but also the least to worry about copyright, and it's all original, things like that. So those are our 4. If you have
That
any
can be
others,
simple as found sounds, where you just
Foley,
hit something and go, right, that's going to be a bass drum, or scratch something and go, right, that'll be a simple.
Take Koala Sampler or just the microphone in your phone, a simple recorder, and just tap things like hit a rock on the ground, or close a door.
You hear that you think,
just anything like
right,
whatever, even just like Curtis was saying, bang the desk and you got a kick, things like that. So really quick, thanks Smiling Errors. I saw your chat. I just want to go because Curtis had asked in the Discord if anybody uses it, but I do, before I talk about those, if anybody has other ones that they want to mention that aren't those 4, post them in the chat while we're live. We're only live for a couple more minutes, or put them in the comments, or head to the Discord. We'll be talking there. But Smiling Air says, Synplant 2 and other AI programs are my go-to now. I'll dial up some phase plant patches, get a rolling sampler running, and capture lots of sounds. I'll slice them up in ways to break Synplant, and then rolling sampler all of its mutation outputs. From those, I'll have hundreds of sounds in a few minutes, ready to either drop in as they are or resample them to needs, be it pluck, pads, lead, whatever, or throw it back into Faceplant to run granular on top of all the other goodies it does. Probably should say the benefit of this is not the like for like reproduction of the original sound, but the mutations and variations that do weird things. That last little bit is my favorite part, because that's what, like, when it comes to sampling into hardware using repitch, dropping the pitch, you get all these crazy weird artifacts and things like that, and it changes the tempo, the time, and there's a lot there. And like on the Digitact, the different sample machines, you could do so many trippy things with like warp or with the slice mode and things like that. So yeah, I appreciate that, Smiling Errors. That's a lot there. So I'll have to check that out. And like I was mentioning, there's AI programs making sample packs now from prompts. So if you want to hear more about that, let us know, because I'll look more into it. But I'm planning to make a video on my channel about that in a ways down. But I need some more research on that. Lastly, Bendu says, it really depends on the kind of samples you're after. I had a TrackLib subscription for a while that I am finally digging into. So yeah, lots there. So check it out. Gentlemen, anything else in terms of sampling before we go to the last topic at hand? Curtis, anything you want to add?
Have fun with it. It's there's so much fun to be had with it, and the fun of it is taking something and fucking with it. That's the one thing you're allowed to fuck with, and it gets better.
Lars, what about you?
Have any of you guys invested in like a field recorder, like one of the little devices with the nice microphones on them?
Yeah, I stopped using it and used my phone instead.
Yeah.
Wait,
well,
wow.
I got phone, but yeah, a stereo mic for my phone.
Yeah, I had the H4 from Zoom or whatever, but it's just another thing you got to carry. The phone's right there. I just record into Koala or even WhatsApp for that like compression, and then I just throw it into my SP or into the DAW, and it's so much easier to just have one piece, like one mode of transportation, instead of like having to deal with the Zoom and then move that into something else. I mean, they're awesome, and I really liked having it, but I still have one, and I just always forget it. Like I'll go hiking and be like, oh, I forgot it. So I was like, I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. I'm just gonna use my phone, and life got a lot easier after that. So yeah.
Is there like a big difference in quality between the phone and the recorder?
Well, I don't really care. There is, but I don't really care, because I'm like if I just throw it with some compression and stuff like that, it's fine. And I'm going for more like warped lo-fi sounding things and stuff like that. So I don't mind it. If you really want pristine samples, then yeah, you're probably going to want to have something external that's a dedicated recorder. But you could also just have a little microphone attached to your phone. I don't think I have it with me, but
that's
like
what
I
I
have those
do.
little
I've
ones
got
that,
one,
you know.
the stereo one,
Yeah,
and it
that's
does.
the other option.
It is a much better quality, and I find it easier to sit things that I've recorded with it in a track when it's in stereo. Things just seem to disappear when they're in mono. They're just gone unless they're just too loud. You just don't hear them. So, but I have to remember to bring the mic with me when I'm.
See, it's just another thing you got to carry. That's that. It's pros and cons, right? That's what we're presenting anyways today.
Both.
Yeah. Like anything you want to add before we move to the last section?
That was it. Yeah, use the phone.
Okay. Yeah, use the phone. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's a good thing to talk about. All right. Well, just the last thing is what we're all up to this week. So, Curtis, we'll start with you. What are you up to besides staring at your cats?
I mean, I'm always staring at these, especially this one. She's beautiful. Look at her. Look at this one. She's lovely.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to go back into production mode for a bit. I think it's time to put the headphones on, and instead of creating something new, take in the bunch of loops that I've got from various live streams and sessions and start building some more tracks. I think it's about time. I haven't done it for a while, so there we'll be going. I'm starting it because I'm starting on this trip because I'm fucking with Eon Lake stems that he sent me in my live stream tonight. So I think it's going to kickstart something. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Have you listened to them yet?
Nope. Going in blind. Going in blind.
It's like an accordion or something.
I know it's an E Phrygian, and I know it's 150 BPM.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going
So
places. Drum and bass. There you go. Lars, what about you? What are you up to this week?
So I'm going to be editing another interview. It's going to be up probably this week or next week. I'm also planning on doing a few more little like jam videos, and also want to get a couple of videos showing you guys in the Discord some of my favorite plugins, because you guys are like, you don't use Paul Stretch, you don't use Supermassive, like what the hell do you use? Like what are you using, man? So
I just think you should embrace Supermassive and Paul Stretch.
What you need to do is record us saying that and make a track out of that.
There you go. Yeah.
Big brain. I love it.
There you go. Look at that. That's collaboration at its finest. Like, what are you up to this week?
What am I up to? I'm clearing up in here. Damn, there's cables everywhere. I've been naughty. I've been pulling things to bits and moving things around and playing around, and I've made a right mess, and it doesn't help. If you want to be creative, try not to mess your creative space up too much. It doesn't help. But beyond that, I'm still running everything I own through the new delay box, which sounds awesome. And I'm heavily track laying this EP that I'm finishing. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's gonna be good.
Well,
that's gonna be
at
good.
least you get to mess up your own creative space. My wife does it for me. I don't know if you can see this wonderful. Yeah. Have any of you guys heard of something called Shein?
Called what?
Shein. It's some kind of like clothing website or app that people buy clothes off of.
Oh, is it like vintage or something? You can sell.
No, it's like fast fashion or something. Which is like basically like the fast food of clothing. But yeah, she really enjoyed herself this week, and now I get to live with it. So it's great.
Nice.
It sounds like fun. Some more. What are you up to this week, bro?
Music promo. I'm keeping up with the Audionautic, and I've got to master some stuff for Audionautic for the label. Which I was like, when Curtis was like, I'm going into production, I was like, please, no more. He sent me like 20 tracks. I'm like, just hold on, bro. Let's get through a couple of these and then we'll talk. All right. And then I got to do all the promo for the Music for Imagined Landscapes, getting ready for the listening party. The album's out Friday, and then the listening party's Saturday. So I hope to see all you there. And then I got to start hitting up some artists. A few of them actually, a few of them are all in this video about remixing for the album. I'm going to do a remix album. So I'm going to hit up, but if anybody's interested in doing a remix, just message me if you're watching. If you want, I know Eon Lake is, I know Curtis is. I'm hoping Lars might be. Maybe he'll like put it through Mishpy or whatever, and we'll just go crazy.
This is my
you know?
interested face. This is my very interested face.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I can't read you yet, man. I'm learning. But yeah, so if anybody's interested, let me know. Hit me up on Discord, on my socials, whatever. But yeah, I did a live stream last week. We had some friends from the chat and all that on there. It was a lot of fun. Curtis was there. We had some fun. So I think I'm gonna finish that off to make a song as like a B-side for the release. So that's another thing. So yeah, just lots and lots of stuff, but all fun, all exciting. So I'm just looking forward to being like done with this album, getting all the promo, all the press done. Like just, I mean, I'll still be doing stuff. You know, you never stop right when an album releases, but like the big part of it is like, okay, I'm done. Like it's all out. It's there. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's what you need. That's what you need. Have we got any other words? Anything missing? Anything going?
Well, okay. I want to bring this up to the chat because I've been debating this, and then we'll go. But with all the news about Spotify, I haven't done an update to the playlist in a while. But we're almost at 600 followers or subscribers. You know, followers of the playlist, whatever you want to call it. Not that it's a number thing, but we try to get everybody some listens and things like that. And I'm been debating, should we keep it up in terms of just like getting listens to all of everybody's music and stuff like that as a place for it? Should we move it to another subscription service or streaming service? Do both, or you know, whatever. So I'm curious to hear everybody's take on it. You can post it in the Discord if you know after the chat ends. But I'm thinking maybe update it once a month, keep it going, because it is a place to find music, right? So I think it's worth it. But I'm curious to hear everybody's take. Because say again, Eon Lake.
Even I think that.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow. Okay. He has spoken.
Curtis, what about you?
I'm similar in that regard. We still put the podcast out on Spotify.
Yeah, that's true.
Might as well have a presence.
Fair point. Yeah. Lars, as the resident hater of Spotify,
you might as well, because
the
sad fact of the matter is they're still where everybody goes for music.
That's why I'm like, I feel like I should do it, because that's still the biggest listener base, and like we have people listening there, so it's like everybody deserves to get their music heard. And if we can even in some small way get everyone closer to that stupid 1,000 stream threshold, then I think it's worth having it there. And if nothing else, then like we say, having a funnel to Bandcamp, you know, to get it there. And so
funnel.
Okay.
Funnel.
I've heard they're losing market share. I've heard like they've started slowing down. I've got my fingers crossed, but you know, it takes a long time for these things to fall apart. Unless you're
it will happen. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Just hang in there, Lars. Don't worry, we'll get you there. It's all good, bro.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's coming. It looks like Smiling Arrows is an agreement. You should upload. You will feel dirty though. I think it's still
not in a good way.
It's still doing a service though, right? Like it's getting music heard and stuff. So okay, I'll keep it up. I'll update it. If you have some music you've got that you want on there, post it in the Discord. We have a channel, Audionautic playlist. That's the channel server, whatever, on there. Post it there if it fits. I try to keep it more chill, electronic stuff, but I'll try to work it in no matter what. And then I'm still thinking about doing like an ambient playlist as well. So yeah, noise would be a separate playlist. So keep that in mind.
It will just be the whole playlist.
It will be a separate whole playlist, yes. But no, the Audionautic Records playlist or the Audionautic playlist.
I find noise very chill. I'll have you know. I find noise very chill.
I'm sure you do, but I don't know if everybody does, and that's just we have a different genre in that playlist, right? Lars does, I know. It's 2 of 2 there, so yeah, you're good. All right, with that, we'll say goodbye. It's been great hanging out with all of you. Awesome to have you all in the chat. Lars, thanks for hopping on. Always great to have you on. And I mean no offense when I talk Paul Stretch and Supermassive. I just think you should check it out because I have a feeling you'll be like, I can't believe I never used it before. That's all. That's it.
That's probably true, but I also have like at least 30 plugins on my computer that I've never used. Paul Stretch is
Yeah.
one of them.
Oh, you actually is it Paul X Stretch? Is that the one you have?
It is. It is Paul
Yeah,
X
there you go.
Stretch. I downloaded.
There
I was
you
like,
go.
ooh, it's
There we go.
free, and then I forgot about it. Never used it.
I
Give
just use it on my
Coach
iPad.
Silver.
I don't even have it as a plugin, truth be told.
Really?
Just an iPad app. Yeah, I send stuff. I use it in
Can I
the
get it on my iPhone?
I think so. Yeah. It's free too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mm.
There we go. He's moving. All right. With
Okay,
that,
guys.
we'll say goodbye. Been awesome hanging out with all of you. We'll be back next week. And if you do want to hang out for the listening party, we'll put the link in the description. It's Saturday at 11. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll be back Wednesday at 11 for the next ADSN. And until then, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.